Right now, Republican lawmakers are asking Minnesota's Democratic Governor Tim Walz to resign after renewed focus on a state fraud investigation. A viral YouTube video by a creator who has shared anti-immigrant and anti-Muslim videos in the past put a major national spotlight on the investigation. The video claims Somali-run childcare centers in Minnesota are committing widespread fraud and provides limited evidence to support the allegations. It was a video that was amplified by Vice President J.D. Vance, Attorney General Pam Bondi, and Elon Musk. Now, the FBI and DHS say they are surging resources into Minnesota, including at those child care centers.
All right, well, we have yet another update in the Minnesota fraud case, because following the viral Nick Shirley video that I'm sure many of you have seen, where he goes to these Somali daycares all around Minnesota and curiously finds that there don't seem to be any children actually inside, the federal government and HHS have announced they will be freezing all new child care payments to the state of Minnesota tonight, basically saying that unless you implement stronger anti-fraud measures, we're not going to be using federal taxpayer dollars to fund fraudulent fake daycares that are empty and giant hubs of money laundering, embezzlement, and theft. Although I struggle these days to get even all too excited about these announcements, because you know what's going to come next, right? Every single time Trump freezes funding to someone, a woke judge steps in and says, no, the federal government, you're obligated to pay for fraud and empty daycares because don't you know, what about the children? And I'm kind of predicting already these are the types of excuses you're about to hear from liberals about this. It's the same thing when we try to crack down on EBT food stamp fraud and libs respond by saying, the hungry people. But in this case, what children, huh? What childcare? If the daycares are empty and we're freezing the payments, what exactly are you so freaking mad about? Every single time we do this and they push back and try to sue us, it is actually a very simple issue. We are trying to crack down on fraud. They're trying to protect the fraud. They use the same excuses they use for basically every other government program in order to essentially, right? Like a literal child behind the cookie jar or something, or where they made a mess and they're like, there's nothing back there. There's nothing in here. It's so freaking obvious. But anyways, we'll tell you all about this here today, as well as even some like brand new updates as to what's going on even locally on the ground in Minnesota as it pertains to, the same Somali daycare centers. First, though, do us a favor. If you enjoy our content, make sure you hit that like button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. We greatly appreciate it. And that said, here, take a listen today to the announcement out of RFK's HHS as to what they're now doing with childcare in Minnesota.
Hello, I'm HHS Deputy Secretary Jim O'Neill. I'm here with Assistant Secretary Alex Adams. Alex oversees the Administration for Children and Families. Intrepid journalists have made shocking and credible allegations of extensive fraud in Minnesota's child care programs. We believe the state of Minnesota has allowed scammers and fake daycares to siphon millions of taxpayer dollars over the past decade.
My office, ACF, provides Minnesota $185 million in child care funds each year. That money should be helping 19,000 American children, including toddlers and infants. Any dollar stolen by fraudsters is stolen from those children. Yesterday, I spoke directly with the director of the Minnesota Child Care Services Office. She could not tell me with confidence whether those allegations of fraud are isolated or whether there's fraud stretching statewide.
Today, we have taken
I'm going to take a wild guess on that.
3 direct actions against the blatant fraud that seems to be rampant in Minnesota. First, I have activated our Defend the Spend system for all ACF child care payments across America. Starting today, we require a justification, receipt, or photo evidence before we make a payment. Second, I have just signed and sent a demand letter to Governor Walz. I required a full 360 review of these centers. This includes attendance records, licenses, complaints, investigations, and inspections.
And third, we've launched a dedicated fraud reporting hotline and email address at childcare.gov. Whether you're a parent, a provider, a member of the public, we want to hear from you. Let me be crystal clear. ACF expects every state to uphold the highest standards of oversight, monitoring, and accountability for federal dollars. Minnesota is no exception.
We're committed to holding bad actors accountable. Regardless of rank or office, anyone who's involved in perpetrating this fraud against the American people should expect to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Yeah, so I already know the response that is coming from liberals because they do the same exact playbook on EBT and SNAP and many other things. They'll say, you're defunding childcare. Look, this is how cruel and unjust Trump and the Republicans are. Vote for us in the midterms or something like that. But when you really break it down, what HHS is asking for is not a lot. It is simply an audit. Hey, can we see where our own money is going, right? The money comes from the federal government, which comes from the taxpayers of this country. Both entities ultimately have a right to know how you're spending the money. Can we see the receipts? You know, it would be analogous to say, you know, those of you who have jobs where you have, say, like a business credit card you can use for gas or transportation when it's related to work. Okay, so say your boss comes to you and says, hey, can we see a list of the transactions just to make sure everything was done for business? Sure, it might be annoying. I don't know. But are you seriously going to sit there and try to sue your boss for that? Hey, you can't check how I'm spending your money. It's a ridiculous thing to say. If your kid comes to you asking for $20 and you say, what's the $20 for? And they respond to you and say, it's not your business. Are you cruel and unjust? You're starving children by asking. It's like, first of all, it's not an unreasonable question. It's our money. Secondly, though, if you refuse and you're seriously going to try to take us to court over not wanting to show how your money's being spent, much like EBT SNAP fraud, it's very likely you know and you're fully aware, actually, that the money is being spent on fraud, okay? And I'd lastly like to say I'm very glad that HHS is doing this nationally and not just in the state of Minnesota as it pertains to anti-fraud measures, because it's worth noting, even as it comes to something specific as fraudulent Somali daycares, this is not even an issue that is only resigned to the state of Minnesota. Columbus, Ohio, for example, same exact situation. Take a look.
Just a question. How do you enroll? How do you enroll your children here? You can't do that? No kids? So how can I enroll my children? It says you get public money through Ohio. You get money through the state of Ohio. This is a money that gets.
There's not an opening, she says, as the sign outside literally says, now enrolling. Yeah. Frankly, I think it's a safe assumption that every single Somali-ran daycare in this... Actually, no, forget Somali daycare. Any daycare that's set up and run by someone of foreign-born descent, at the very least, needs to be audited. Okay, I'm not saying they're all bad, but even in itself... So you immigrate to the United States of America, and if all things you would think to maybe start, I don't know, yeah, I'm sure, my own business, I guess. A restaurant, maybe some type of corporate company, equity, whatever, go to school, be an engineer... Who is even immigrating to the United States and saying, you know, my dream has always been I wanted to start a daycare for children? I mean, I don't know, maybe someone really thinks that way, but it's just a little strange, I have to say, you know? Not saying they're all bad or they all have bad intent, but at this point, you know, that's the unfortunate reality. When you have a high rate of fraud, sometimes you have to just kind of review and look at people and sure, have some degree of probable cause. You could even call it profiling, but it's based on something justified. I mean, obviously, that needs to be the case. Of course, meanwhile, the state of Minnesota has been trying to make excuses for the behavior. They're trying to, first of all, deny involvement. And then secondly, we've seen all of the attempts at fact-checking Nick Shirley, right? It's misinformation what they're saying. And of course, in response to the whole, you know, very famous one, the Quality Learning Center, right? The daycare that spelled learning wrong. Last week, the government of Minnesota tried to downplay this by claiming that the place had already closed down. Right, a week ago, they provided the official statement. They said, Quality Learning Center already closed down, you know, so don't worry about it. It's not a real issue. And yet, here's Nick Shirley showing up now, this week today, and realizing, oh, it's not closed. And there's actually people, the workers, saying that it's still open. So in other words, the state government, in order to hide their own tracks, and by the way, run cover for this very fraudulent, likely business, allegedly, right? Basically just straight up lied. Check it out.
Department of Children, the lady, the commissioner, Kiki Brown said you guys were closed a week ago, and now you guys are open right now. This is not true what you guys are saying.
I don't have anything to do with that business.
Fraud.
I don't have anything to do with that business.
What you got on? Oh my God! You're the infamous Nick Shirley who's getting dollars for YouTube.
I have a question. If someone could answer.
Oh, hey, brother.
All right, let's move up. Don't say something.
This facility is licensed.
Oh, it is going to make sense because he's
How many
getting
children
money.
are here?
Because he's getting yikes.
Yeah, but
99?
This man just brought my wallet back. I just left my wallet out there. I appreciate you.
Yeah, this is the mother paying. So I'm sorry, where was your question?
Yeah, so again, they just straight up lied in order to cover their own tracks. And keep in mind, this is the same Minnesota state government we talked about in the last video that CBS News and the mainstream media used as their source for a fact check on Nick Shirley, right? Basically, they tried to say, well, clearly there's no fraud going on because, you know, we asked the government if there was fraud going on or if the businesses were legitimate and they were passing their inspections. And the state government said yes, so clearly Nick Shirley is wrong. Oh, you mean the state government that just got caught brazenly lying for their own PR purposes? And yes, this business is still absolutely open. There are actually people who work at it, okay? It's just simply the case that they're not really likely doing, it would appear, the type of legitimate work, you know, that we would often associate with it. And guys, it doesn't even stop there. Even now today, while Nick Shirley was, you know, finding out and learning about the daycare fraud, it turns out we just incidentally in the process ran into another source of fraud in the state, which is, of course, autism fraud. You're probably thinking to yourself, what does that even, autism fraud? Yes. It turns out not only are many members of the Somali community, you know, in setting up these fake daycares, you know, we showed you actually some surveillance videos. In some cases, the parents will take their kids there for like 15 minutes and then leave again with the kids. There are even videos of cash being exchanged, right? So basically the parents get a kickback for pretending to be, you know, beneficiaries of this daycare while, of course, the business owner's just pocketing the money. But in the process, it turns out also that because you received some degree of government benefits from, you know, having a kid who has autism, we have this whole like mafia, essentially. You're noticing that word a lot, mafia, of fake Somali healthcare as well. Oh, notice that. That's another issue we've been talking about, right? Who are giving out fake autism diagnoses to these kids so that way those families can, of course, receive more money. You're probably thinking, okay, what exactly are you talking about? Take a look for yourself.
Here at Future Leaders Early Learning Center, this building received over $3 million. Hello, how are you? I would like to see if I could bring little Joey, my son little Joey here. Is there paperwork or can I check out the daycare? No? Why can't I check out the daycare?
It's not here.
Okay, but if I can I get paperwork or anything to submit my son little Joey to come in here to daycare? We'd really like to put Joey in this daycare. We've heard great things.
It's really funny how they're all like this, isn't it? Yeah. How is it, you know, okay, one shady business, whatever. How is it that so many dozens of daycare centers that they go to in the Minneapolis area are all like this, right? Okay.
Business card?
No, I would like your business card, actually.
You talk to your manager.
Okay, can I speak with somebody? Where are the children at? Are there children here today?
No.
No children?
Yes.
Why are there no children?
Two of Mexico.
Would my son little Joey have friends to play with here?
No.
No.
Yes.
No friends for little Joey?
Yes. Sorry.
Ah, dang it.
I don't think there's children there.
Well, have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
So, little Joey would not be accepted to that daycare.
Joey's still homeless.
Joey's still looking for daycare.
And because little Joey couldn't get into a daycare, we went to an autism center, as they have been popping up everywhere as a rise of autism has occurred here in Minnesota because of the government funds that they are receiving. I tried to check my son Joey into an autism center.
We've been going to a lot of these daycare centers. We're trying to find a spot for our little boy Joey, but we thought maybe we could check him in the autism center because none of the daycare centers are open. Yeah, and how many kids do you guys have at this autism center?
I can't give you a number.
Like more than 5? Probably, so you don't really know?
Yeah.
What do you guys think about like the fraud that's been labeled on the autism centers here? What do you guys do think about the fraud, or how come the autism centers are popping up?
I can't answer.
What news? Are you a news reporter?
My name's Nick. We're doing a little documentary trying to find little Joey a spot to put himself in one of these centers here, because there's.
So why are you asking us about like
the fraud?
And stuff like that?
Yeah, because we want to make sure we're going to legit business if we're going to bring our little boy Joey here.
This is not a Joey spot. But that's our number on you.
This is not a Joey spot, huh? What does that mean? Is it simply because Joey is a white kid? I'm sure that's part of it. But I think there's a little more to it, right? I don't know if it's even a place for children. And notice the immediate hostility too. Are you a news reporter? Oh, yeah.
This is we can't let you guys use.
Okay, thank you. So once again, little Joey, he can't even go to daycare, and now they won't even accept him if he has autism.
And again, no kids. Couldn't tell you how many kids they serve. I know the answer. It's 0.
Yeah, isn't that kind of interesting? Little Joey has tried to get into so many daycares in this city. Coincidentally, all ran by Somalis, and they can't find a single one. Yeah. But anyways, guys, brief little video, but there you essentially have it, okay? This is this is how deep the problem, of course, is in the state of Minnesota. And again, I'll just repeat one more time before 2025 ends. It's not by coincidence or accident, okay? It's not as though, oh, I can't believe the Democrats were so incompetent as to never catch this. Of course they know this is going on. And ignore any commentator who's trying to tell you, oh, the government screwed up. The government didn't screw up. Tim Walz knew exactly what he was doing. All it's a proven fact already, by the way, that many members of the Minnesota state government, especially the state legislature, but even people like AG Keith Ellison, have received indeed either campaign kickbacks for ignoring Somali fraud, or in some cases directly were engaged in it, right? They were funneling money essentially back to companies owned by members of their own family, okay? So you really look at that and mean to tell me that, you don't think the Democrats knew this was going on? No, absolutely. They're in on it, okay?
Or go to the businesses and ask them. As far as childcare on this, you have to take it at both the supply and the demand side. You can't expect the most important people in our lives to take either our children or our parents to get paid the least amount of money. And we have to make it easier for folks to be able to get into that business and then to make sure that folks are able to pay for that. We were able to do it in Minnesota, and I'm still telling you this. We were listed as the best state. We're still in crisis on this. A federal program of paid family and medical leave and help with this will enhance our workforce, enhance our families, and make it easier to have the children that you want.
None of this stuff is hard to catch. A lot of people are asking, you really going to take a YouTuber seriously when it comes to exposing government fraud? Well, I mean, I'm not trying to even insult Nick Shirley's journalistic ability here, but I think what he's actually proving is that it's not hard to find at all, right? I don't think he's doing anything super intricate. He's not really connecting a lot of dots. He's just like, hey, let's go to Somali-ran daycares and healthcare centers and all these places and see if we can find a single legitimate one. And the same pattern continues to repeat itself over and over again. What does that mean? This stuff has been happening in broad daylight. Everyone knows what's happening. Clearly, though, there is just a certain power that be that doesn't want to do anything about it. And gee, I wonder who that is. Good news, though, is that at least for now, the federal government's trying to use their leverage to say, hey, Minnesota, you have to at least do something about this. You have to stop allowing and profiting from fraud. But of course, liberals are going to call us the bad guys. They're going to say that we're attacking the children, and very likely some woke judge is going to say, no, you have to keep paying for the fraud, federal taxpayer. So isn't it so lovely how our so-called democracy works? You vote for something, you get that something, and then some unelected judge says, no, you can't have it. Because that's how federalism works, apparently. The Constitution, of course, because of states' rights, infamously says the federal government is legally mandated to give funding to states. It's like, that's not even how it works. But anyways, all right. That said, let me know your thoughts. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. And until next time, God bless and peace.